She does not get addicted to lines. She gets addicted to your presence. Right now, a lot of good men are doing the exact opposite. You text too much, explain too fast, compliment her looks on repeat, buy the nice dinner and still feel that distant smile. The conversation dies, the chemistry stalls, and you start wondering if you need a better pickup line or a bigger gesture. You do not. What you need is steadiness, restraint, and a clear sense of who you are. This video is not about tricks. It is about 5 moves that switch you from chasing to being. You will learn how to be the calm in her chaos. Speak less so. Every word lands, live by purpose instead of impulse. Make her feel relevant rather than merely validated, and turn simple moments into something she cannot forget. It is Stoic psychology in plain English, built for men who want real connection and real desire without games. If you are tired of doing more and getting less, stay with me. By the end, you will know exactly how to shift your energy so she feels safe, curious, and drawn in. And if this sounds like your lane, subscribe to the channel so you never miss what is next. Bring a pen, take notes, and test this in your next conversation tonight. Let's get into it. Number 1. Be the calm in her chaos. Every woman has storms, emotional moments when her world feels heavy, confusing, or overwhelming. Most men panic when that happens. They rush to fix things, defend themselves, or match her emotion with more emotion. But that reaction never builds attraction. It builds distance. Because when you get pulled into her storm, she stops feeling your strength. What she really needs isn't a solution. It's your stillness. Let's look at a real example. Mark is 51, a business owner from Austin. He's been dating Anna, 48, for 6 months. She's confident, kind, but fiery, the kind of woman who feels everything deeply. One night, Anna called him upset after a rough day at work. Mark did what most men do. He jumped in to fix it. "You should just talk to your boss," he said. "Don't let people walk all over you." She went quiet. The next day, she was distant. What happened? Mark meant well, but he missed the point. She didn't want advice. She wanted calm energy to ground her emotions. A few weeks later, the same thing happened. This time, Mark didn't try to fix anything. He just listened. He said, "That sounds tough. I can tell it really got to you." Then he stayed silent. That silence wasn't cold, it was strong. She exhaled, her tone softened, and she leaned into him. That night she said, "You make me feel steady." That's the difference between reacting and being. Women don't fall for men who match their chaos. They fall for men who hold space for it. Your calm doesn't erase her emotion, it gives her a safe place to release it. When you stay grounded while she's spinning, she starts to feel your energy as strength, not distance. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That's the foundation of Stoic attraction. You can't control her mood, her words, or the situation, but you can control your presence, your tone, your breathing. When you master that, you give her something most men never can: emotional safety. Here's what being calm really means. It's not silence or indifference, it's awareness. It's staying centered when the room gets loud. It's taking a slow breath instead of defending yourself. It's responding with intention instead of reacting with ego. And it's that calm that turns tension into connection. Because when you stay composed, she feels safe enough to open up. When you rush to fix or fight, she shuts down. The paradox is that calmness, not control, is what makes her trust you. It's what lets her surrender to the moment, because she senses that you won't crumble under pressure. In every relationship, there will be moments of chaos. Your power isn't in avoiding them, it's in mastering yourself within them. So next time she's emotional, don't pull away and don't argue. Just hold your frame, listen, breathe. Let your stillness be louder than her words. Because when you become the calm in her chaos, she starts to associate your presence with peace, and peace is addictive. If you've ever seen what happens when calm changes everything, drop a quick comment, "I've seen this." And keep watching, because next we'll talk about how speaking less and meaning more can make her crave your words long after you stop talking. Number 2. Speak less, feel deeper. Most men talk too much. They explain, justify, and overshare, thinking their words will impress her. But the truth is, attraction doesn't come from how much you say it, comes from the weight behind your words. The man who speaks less but feels deeper leaves an imprint that lingers long after he's gone. Women aren't drawn to noise, they're drawn to energy. They don't remember every sentence you said, they remember how it felt when you said it. The tone, the pauses, the calm behind your voice. That's what creates presence. When you talk just to fill space, you dilute that energy. But when you speak from stillness, from meaning, every word lands like it matters. This doesn't mean you should be quiet out of fear. It means you should be intentional. Let silence do some of the talking. Silence creates tension. It gives her space to feel your presence instead of just hearing your voice. That's the difference between men who sound interesting and men who feel magnetic. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." Think about that. He didn't say talk about being one, he said be one. That's the essence of this principle. Your presence communicates more than your words ever could. Every time you choose calm over chatter, restraint over reaction, you show discipline. And discipline to a woman feels like power. There's something irresistible about a man who doesn't rush to speak. His pauses make her lean in. His restraint makes her wonder what he's thinking. That curiosity pulls her closer. It's psychological. The human mind values what it has to wait for. When your words are rare, they gain value. Stoicism teaches that wisdom lives in observation, not reaction. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In relationships, that's gold. When you truly listen, you begin to feel the emotion beneath her words, the fear, the excitement, the vulnerability. You stop reacting to what she says and start connecting to what she means. That's how intimacy is built, not through talking but through attunement. When you slow down your words, you also slow down the moment. You shift the tempo of the interaction. Instead of trying to impress, you start to influence. She begins to match your rhythm. Her voice softens, her breathing slows. Without realizing it, she's syncing with your calm. That's what women describe as chemistry, but it's really leadership through presence. Most men think silence is awkward. It's not. It's powerful. It's where tension, trust, and desire grow. When you can sit in silence comfortably, she feels it. She senses your confidence, not the loud kind, but the quiet one that doesn't need attention to prove its strength. So the next time you're with her, try this: say less, listen more. When you do speak, make sure your words come from awareness, not habit. Look her in the eye, breathe slowly, and let your tone carry weight. Let her feel that you mean what you say, not just that you're saying something. Because the man who speaks less but feels deeper doesn't need to chase attention. Attention comes to him. If you've ever felt the power of silence say more than words, drop a quick comment, "I've felt that." And stay with me, because next we'll talk about how living with purpose, not impulse, is what truly makes her addicted to your presence. Number 3. Live by purpose, not by impulse. One of the biggest differences between an ordinary man and a magnetic man is this: one reacts, the other leads. When you live by impulse, you're constantly pulled by emotion, her moods, your fears, your desires. But when you live by purpose, you move from a deeper place. You stop chasing, you start choosing. That shift alone changes how every woman experiences you. Let's take an example. Richard is 54, a paramedic from San Diego. He's been single for a few years after a long marriage, and recently he started dating a woman named Lisa, who's 49. She's warm, intuitive, and independent. The kind of woman who's been through enough life to spot when a man is grounded and when he's drifting. At first, Richard did what many men do after a long relationship. He tried to please. If Lisa wanted to meet, he'd cancel his workout. If she didn't reply to a text right away, he'd check his phone every few minutes. It wasn't about love. It was impulse. He was chasing validation instead of living from his purpose. One day, after a cancelled date, he caught himself thinking, "Why am I rearranging my life for someone who isn't even asking me to?" That was his moment of awareness. The next week, he made a change. He got back to his early runs, his reading routine, his volunteering at the firehouse. He told Lisa, "I'll be free Thursday after my shift if you'd like to grab dinner." That calm, grounded tone, no pressure, no neediness, shifted everything. She said yes. Not because he chased harder, but because he stopped chasing at all. Women can sense when a man is guided by purpose. It's in the way he talks, the way he walks, the way he pauses before reacting. His energy feels stable, not scattered. He's not looking for someone to fill a void. He's sharing his space because his life already has meaning. That's what makes her addicted to him. She's drawn to his direction. His focus gives her something to trust. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions. Purpose is your ambition in motion. It's what defines you when things get difficult. It's what keeps your emotions in check when the world tests your patience." A man without purpose is easily distracted by temptation, by mood, by fear. But a man with purpose stays unmoved. His discipline speaks louder than his words. Living by purpose doesn't mean you ignore pleasure. It means you don't serve it. You control when to indulge, when to step back, when to say no. That self-control creates a tension women can feel. They might not understand it logically, but they recognize it emotionally. It's rare, and rare is magnetic. Richard learned something every man eventually does. Women respect a man who respects his time. When you're on your path, you don't need to convince her to join it. She naturally aligns with your rhythm. Purpose gives you power because it removes the need for approval. And when you no longer need approval, you start to attract it effortlessly. So stop living by impulse. Stop letting emotion or desire decide for you. Live by purpose. Build your day, your goals, your routine around what strengthens you. Because the man who moves with purpose doesn't chase love, he inspires it. If you've ever felt the power of focus shift everything, drop a quick comment, "I've seen this." And stay tuned, because next, we'll talk about why touching her soul before her skin is what makes the connection last long after desire fades. Number 4. Touch her soul before her skin. Every man knows how to touch a woman's body, but very few know how to touch her soul. Physical attraction can light a spark, but emotional connection keeps the flame alive. When you reach her soul first, everything else follows naturally. The way she looks at you, the way she opens up, the way she lets you in it all, begins with how deeply she feels understood. This is where most men fail. They think intimacy starts with touch, but it starts long before that with attention. True connection is built when you see her, not just look at her. When you listen without interrupting, when you remember something small she said a week ago. That's how you reach the part of her no one else does. Stoic philosophy teaches that beauty fades, but essence lasts. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The beauty of the soul shines even brighter than that of the body." Think about that. A woman's body might attract you, but it's her energy, her curiosity, her empathy that holds you. And when you learn to speak to that part of her, she feels it instantly. She feels safe to be soft. Touching her soul means creating an emotional rhythm where she doesn't have to perform. She doesn't have to be charming or witty or perfect. She can just be. And that space is powerful. When a woman feels emotionally seen, she begins to crave your presence. You become the calm she didn't know she needed. This is not about being overly romantic or saying the right words. It's about intention. It's the quiet way you notice when she's tired. The way you give her your full attention without scrolling your phone. The way you're patient when she opens up. These small moments build trust faster than any grand gesture. The Stoics believed that our true nature is rational and calm, not reactive or self-serving. Applying that to attraction means being in control of your energy. Don't chase, don't beg, and don't rush. Slow down, speak less, observe more. Your composure tells her something her instincts recognize. This man is safe, but powerful. When you connect through emotion before touch, physical intimacy becomes deeper. It's not about the act, it's about what it represents: trust, surrender, and respect. You're no longer two people using each other for comfort. You're two souls aligning. That's the kind of connection that stays. Here's the truth: any man can get a woman's attention for a night, but very few can live in her mind for years. When she feels emotionally understood, she will think about you long after you're gone, not because of what you did, but because of how you made her feel seen. So if you want to be unforgettable, stop chasing the body. Reach the soul first. The touch of your awareness is stronger than the touch of your hands. And if you're ready to master this kind of connection, not just with women but with yourself, join our private members community. Inside, we go deeper into Stoic masculinity, emotional mastery, and attraction through presence. You'll learn how to speak with energy instead of effort, and connect with authenticity instead of performance. Click join below to become part of the community today. If you've ever felt that kind of connection where words weren't needed, drop a quick comment, "I felt that." And stay with me, because next we'll talk about how discipline, not desire, is what truly makes a woman addicted to you. Number 5. Be addicted to discipline, not to her. Most men lose themselves the moment they meet a woman who excites them. They start rearranging their routines, checking their phones constantly, and letting their emotions dictate their actions. It's not love, it's addiction disguised as affection. Real strength doesn't come from needing her. It comes from mastering yourself enough that you don't need anything outside of your purpose to stay balanced. Let me tell you about Daniel. He's 53, a gym owner from Tampa. After his divorce, he met Vanessa, 47, a teacher, intelligent, graceful, but emotionally intense. In the beginning, Daniel was disciplined: morning workouts, work schedule, meditation, dinner with his son twice a week. But once things got serious, he started slipping. He'd skip the gym to text her longer. He stopped reading before bed because she'd call late at night. He thought that's what connection required: sacrifice. But slowly he lost the rhythm that made him magnetic in the first place. When Vanessa pulled back, Daniel panicked. He started calling more, trying harder. The more he tried, the more distant she became. Finally, she said, "I miss the man you were when we first met, the one who had his own life." That hit him hard. It made him realize what he'd given up wasn't her, it was himself. Here's the truth: women don't fall for men who worship them. They fall for men who respect themselves. Your discipline is the proof of that respect. When you keep your structure, your workouts, your work ethic, your purpose, you send a clear message: I'm in control of my life. And that, more than anything, makes her feel both admiration and attraction. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A man's worth is measured by the things he pursues." Think about that. If all your energy is focused on her, then your worth becomes dependent on her reactions. But if your energy is focused on your discipline, your health, your mission, your peace, then your worth is built on something she can't touch. That's what makes you unshakable. Discipline isn't about rigidity. It's about consistency. It's waking up and following through, even when emotions try to pull you off course. It's choosing to maintain your center when the world or a relationship tempts you to lose it. That steadiness builds a kind of masculine gravity that women feel. They can sense when a man's world doesn't collapse the moment she steps out of it. That's rare. That's irresistible. Daniel learned that lesson the hard way. He started rebuilding, set his phone aside during workouts, got back to journaling, kept his focus on his business and his peace. He stopped over-explaining and started living again. The result: Vanessa came closer. Not because he chased her, but because his energy shifted back to discipline. She could feel it, the quiet confidence of a man who's in charge of himself. Here's the paradox. When you stop being addicted to her and start being addicted to your discipline, she becomes more drawn to you. Because now she feels something deeper, respect. And respect always leads to desire. So stay true to your rhythm, keep your structure, because the man who's ruled by emotion is forgettable. But the man ruled by discipline, he becomes unforgettable. If you've ever felt the difference between needing someone and mastering yourself, drop a quick comment, "I've seen this." And keep watching, because next we'll explore how showing power through restraint, not control, is what keeps her chasing your energy long after the moment ends. Number 6. Show power through restraint. Here's a truth. Most men never learn. Real power isn't shown through dominance. It's revealed through restraint. Any man can raise his voice, chase attention, or react out of pride. But the man who can hold back when emotion tempts him to explode, the one who stays calm when ego demands reaction, that's the man everyone feels. That's the man she can't forget. Restraint isn't weakness, it's control. It's knowing that silence, patience, and timing can do more than words ever could. Most men think strength is in action, doing, fixing, proving. But Stoic strength is the opposite. It's mastery of self. It's choosing not to move when every part of you wants to. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." In modern terms, that means don't match chaos with chaos. Don't match disrespect with anger. When she tests you, when someone disrespects you, when the world throws its noise at you, pause, breathe. Let your composure speak. That pause is power. Women especially are wired to feel emotional energy. They can sense when a man's emotions own him and when he owns his emotions. The moment you lose your temper, overreact, or chase validation, the dynamic shifts. You stop being the steady ground she's drawn to and become just another man controlled by impulse. But when you hold your frame, when you stay still and let your eyes do the talking, she feels your strength in her body. It's primal. It's magnetic. Think about it this way: restraint builds mystery, and mystery builds desire. When you don't react instantly, you create space for her to wonder. When you don't always respond to a text right away, or when you pause before speaking, you show self-command. You're saying, "Without words, I decide when and how I engage." That's not arrogance, it's presence. It shows that your emotions serve you, not the other way around. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom isn't doing whatever you feel, it's being able to choose what you feel. That's what makes restraint so powerful. It's freedom in motion. When you hold back anger, when you resist the need to impress, when you walk away instead of fighting to be right, you're demonstrating emotional sovereignty. That's what separates a Stoic man from an ordinary one. In relationships, restraint translates directly to attraction. The less reactive you are, the more magnetic you become. You're not predictable. You're not easy to read. She can sense that your energy doesn't get pulled in every direction, and that steadiness becomes intoxicating. Because when you can't be shaken, she feels safe enough to feel everything. Restraint is also how you earn respect. Anyone can be loud, but only a man with control can be calm in conflict. Only a man with self-command can walk away without needing the last word. That kind of strength doesn't shout, it radiates. So the next time you feel that urge to react, to explain, to prove, don't. Take a breath. Let silence carry your message. Because true power doesn't come from showing force. It comes from showing restraint. And when you learn to hold that line, when your composure becomes your language, you stop chasing attraction. You become it. If you've ever felt that quiet strength shift a moment in your favor, drop a quick comment, "I've felt that." And stay tuned, because next we'll talk about why your silence, when used with confidence, makes her feel safer, softer, and even more drawn to your energy. Number 7. Make her feel safe in your silence. Silence makes most men uncomfortable. They think it means disconnection, boredom, or distance. But for a man who understands energy, silence is his greatest tool. Because silence, when used right, doesn't push her away, it pulls her closer. It gives her space to breathe, to feel, and to open up without pressure. That's where connection deepens. That's where attraction becomes real. Let's take an example. David, 56, works as a contractor in Chicago. After a messy divorce, he started seeing Amanda, 49, a therapist. She was patient, kind, but guarded, used to being around men who talked over her or tried to impress her. On their first few dates, David filled every pause with chatter. Jokes, stories, even random facts. He thought he was being interesting. She thought he was trying too hard. Then one night, they went for a walk by the lake. The conversation slowed. The wind, the water, the quiet it made, the silence feel different. This time he didn't rush to fill it. He just walked beside her, calm, breathing easily. After a few minutes, she said quietly, "It's peaceful with you." That moment changed everything. It wasn't about words. It was about energy. His silence didn't feel empty. It felt safe. That's the secret most men miss. Silence isn't the absence of communication. It is communication. It tells her you're comfortable in your own skin. It tells her you don't need to prove yourself. It tells her she can rest around you without needing to perform. In a world full of noise, your quiet becomes her refuge. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your thoughts are calm, your silence carries that calm into the space around you. Women can feel it. It's not about being mysterious or distant, it's about being grounded. When you're grounded, your silence says, "I'm here and nothing needs to be fixed." Women, especially those who've lived through chaos, crave that steadiness. They've dealt with men who talk big but feel hollow. They've dealt with loud energy that never lasts. But when you bring quiet confidence, when your silence feels like peace, not withdrawal, they start to trust you. And that trust is what unlocks intimacy. The Stoics taught that control begins within. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Silence is your reaction in real time. When emotions rise, hers or yours, your quiet is a signal of control. It says, "I'm not moved by chaos, I choose calm," and that choice makes her feel safe in your presence. When a woman feels safe, she softens. Her guard drops. She starts to share more, laugh more, touch more naturally. That's not manipulation, it's chemistry. You're creating an environment where her nervous system can relax. That's what real attraction feels like, not excitement, but ease. David learned that lesson. On their later dates, he stopped over-explaining. He spoke less, listened more, and let moments breathe. Amanda began reaching for his hand first. She started sharing deeper things, dreams, fears, childhood memories. His silence wasn't a wall anymore. It was an invitation. So don't fear silence. Use it. Let it carry your strength. Let it become the pause between words where trust is built. When you can make a woman feel safe in your silence, she doesn't crave your voice, she craves your presence. If you've ever felt that kind of quiet connection, drop a quick comment, "I've seen this." And stay with me, because next we'll talk about how respecting her mind more than her beauty can build a connection that lasts longer than desire ever could. Number 8. Respect her mind more than her beauty. Every woman has heard 1,000 compliments about her looks, her eyes, her smile, her body, but almost no one has ever made her feel respected for her mind. That's why when a man does, it hits differently. It doesn't just make her feel good, it makes her feel seen. And when a woman feels seen on that level, her attraction to you goes beyond the physical. It becomes emotional, even spiritual. The truth is, beauty catches attention, but depth keeps it. When you lead with lust, you blend in with every other man who's ever wanted her. But when you lead with curiosity, when you engage her ideas, her opinions, her vision of life, you separate yourself from everyone else. You become the man who doesn't just notice her surface, but understands her essence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The beauty of the soul shines even brighter than that of the body." And that line isn't just philosophy, it's strategy. Because when you honor the soul before the skin, you awaken a different kind of desire. You're not chasing validation. You're giving her something rare, intellectual intimacy. Women crave that more than they admit. They want a man who can stimulate their mind, who challenges their perspective without dismissing it. A man who listens, reflects, and adds something meaningful to the conversation. That doesn't mean lecturing or showing off knowledge. It means listening with presence, speaking with purpose, and engaging with empathy. When you do that, she feels respected as a person, not an object. The Stoics believe that reason, the ability to think and understand, is what separates us from impulse. When you bring that calm intelligence into your relationships, you create a connection rooted in mutual respect, not instant gratification. You show her that you value who she is more than how she looks. And that kind of respect makes her feel safe enough to reveal even more of herself to you. When you truly respect a woman's mind, you're not agreeing with everything she says, you're valuing the way she thinks. You might challenge her, ask thoughtful questions, or share your own insights, but you do it with presence and patience. That kind of interaction builds tension not because of disagreement, but because of depth. She starts to feel like you're seeing parts of her that others overlook. That's what creates emotional gravity. Respecting her mind also means knowing when not to speak. Sometimes the greatest display of intelligence is restraint, letting her finish, pausing before you respond, showing that her thoughts have weight. That's how you communicate maturity without saying a word. And here's something most men never realize. When a woman feels intellectually respected, her physical attraction grows automatically. Because for her, desire is holistic. It's not just about looks. It's about energy, communication, and emotional safety. When she feels that you appreciate her mind, her body relaxes around you. Her guard drops. Her femininity flows more freely. So stop overvaluing beauty and start admiring depth. Compliment the way she observes the world. Appreciate how she handles pressure or expresses emotion. Notice the intelligence behind her laughter, the awareness behind her silence. That's how you separate yourself from the rest. Seneca once wrote, "The greatest discovery is self-knowledge." When you reflect that principle in your relationships, when you make her feel known on a level beyond the surface, you give her something unforgettable. Remember this, her beauty might turn your head, but her mind is what keeps you in her heart. Respect that and you'll never have to chase connection again. If you've ever felt that a woman's depth drew you in more than her looks, drop a quick comment, "I felt that." And stay tuned, because next we'll talk about why mastering yourself, instead of trying to control her, creates the kind of freedom that keeps both of you addicted. Number 9. Control yourself, not her. The moment you try to control a woman, you lose her. It doesn't matter how subtle it is, whether you're checking where she is, expecting her to reply right away, or trying to change her behavior. Control always kills attraction. What truly pulls her in isn't dominance, it's discipline. Because when you can control yourself, she feels free, and that freedom is what keeps her coming back. Let's look at a real story. Michael is 52, a financial advisor in Denver. He's been dating Rebecca, 46, for almost a year. She's strong, independent, and knows exactly what she wants from life. But when things started getting serious, Michael's insecurities began to surface. If she didn't text back right away, he'd assume she was losing interest. If she wanted a night out with her friends, he'd feel uneasy. His tone changed, his patience thinned, and slowly that tension pushed her away. One night, after an argument about something small, Rebecca said, "I don't want to be managed, Michael. I want to be trusted." That hit him like a punch to the gut. He realized he wasn't protecting the relationship, he was suffocating it. A week later, he decided to change. Instead of checking his phone every hour, he went back to focusing on his workouts, his clients, his peace. He stopped demanding reassurance and started giving space. Within 2 weeks, the energy shifted. Rebecca came closer again, not because he controlled her, but because he controlled himself. That's the paradox most men miss. The more you try to manage her, the less she respects you. But when you master your own emotions, your composure becomes her magnet. Women don't fall in love with control, they fall in love with stability. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." The same applies to relationships. You don't control her feelings, her choices, or her past. You control your response, your focus, and your standards. The man who understands that never has to beg, chase, or panic. He leads through calm, not command. When you control yourself, you send a message without saying a word. I am not threatened by what I cannot control. That kind of energy is rare. It shows emotional maturity, and it invites trust. Women sense it instantly. It's why the most confident men don't need to monitor or manipulate. Their stillness does all the talking. Michael learned that his strength wasn't in setting more rules, but in setting boundaries for himself. He stopped reacting to every emotion and started observing it. When Rebecca tested him, showing up late, changing plans, he didn't lecture or guilt trip. He stayed calm, said what he needed with clarity, and moved on. That calm power pulled her closer because she felt his presence without pressure. The truth is, no one can control another person without losing themselves in the process. And a woman can't feel desire for a man who's constantly trying to cage her freedom. She wants to choose you, not be forced to stay. That choice only happens when she feels safe in your strength, not trapped by your insecurity. So if you want peace in your relationships, stop controlling outcomes, control your reactions. Don't chase, don't argue to win, just lead by example. Your restraint, your composure, your focus, those are the things that make her trust you, respect you, and crave your presence. Because the man who controls himself is unshakable, and that kind of steadiness is more powerful than any form of control. If you've ever learned that letting go gave you more power, drop a quick comment, "I've seen this." And stay with me, because next we'll talk about how to become the experience she can't forget, the kind of man who lives in her mind long after the moment ends. Number 10. Be the experience she can't escape. Every man wants to be remembered. But few understand why a woman remembers them. It's never just about looks, money, or charm. It's about how she felt in your presence. The truth is, she doesn't crave the man who gave her butterflies. She craves the man who made her feel grounded, alive, and safe in her own skin. You become unforgettable not by performing, but by being an experience. An experience is energy. It's the combination of your presence, tone, patience, and awareness. It's how you make the space between words feel. When a woman meets a man who carries that kind of calm confidence, who doesn't rush, who doesn't need validation, who makes silence feel comfortable, something shifts inside her. Her nervous system relaxes, her walls lower, and suddenly she feels something she can't explain. That's what keeps her thinking about you long after you're gone. The Stoics believed that mastery of the self creates mastery over every moment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." The same principle applies to attraction. The quality of your energy shapes the quality of her experience. If your thoughts are calm, she feels that calm. If your energy is anxious, she absorbs that too. A Stoic man doesn't just control his reactions, he curates the energy he brings into every interaction. Being an experience she can't escape means showing up differently. It's in how you look at her, not with hunger but with understanding. It's in how you listen, not to respond but to connect. It's in how you touch, not to take but to reassure. Everything you do becomes intentional. You're not chasing moments, you're shaping them. That's the difference between a man who's temporary and a man who lingers in her memory. And here's the paradox. The more you try to make her remember you, the easier you are to forget. Real impact comes when your presence feels effortless, when you bring peace instead of pressure, curiosity instead of control. That's what separates men who come and go from men who leave a mark. She'll forget what you said. She'll forget what you did, but she'll never forget how safe she felt being herself around you. Because that's rare. Most men demand attention. Few inspire ease. Most chase validation. Few offer space. And space, emotional, mental, spiritual, is what gives her room to feel, to open, and to bond. When she feels that your presence becomes something she associates with relief, and relief is addictive. You don't need to be the loudest man in the room to be unforgettable. You just need to be the stillest. You need to bring clarity in a world full of chaos. You need to be the man who doesn't just talk about peace, he is peace. The kind of peace that makes her want to stay. When you master that, you stop being just another memory. You become the grounding force she returns to in her mind, the energy she compares everyone else to. Because your value wasn't in your words or even your actions. It was in your presence. That's the power of Stoicism. In relationships, the ability to create connection through calm depth and intention. When you embody that, you don't chase love. You become the experience she can't escape. What you've just learned isn't about tactics or tricks. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't chase attention, he commands it through presence, discipline, and calm. These 10 principles aren't steps to control anyone, they're reminders to master yourself. Because when you do, attraction stops being something you chase and becomes something you naturally create. If you're ready to go deeper into Stoicism, masculine energy, and the psychology of true connection, join our private members community. Inside, you'll find exclusive lessons, live sessions, and in-depth training designed to help you master not just relationships, but your entire mindset. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss what's coming next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.